Oliver, when you thought about your project, what were you expecting from it as an outcome for yourself?
As an outcome for myself, it would be sort of a long-held ambition to sail around the UK, but also, you know, to see that huge variety that we have. It's not just a sailing voyage, it's about discovery. Discovery of things close to home, unexpected things close to home. And it's also about evenings like this, you know. I honestly couldn't be happier. I think that goes for all of us. There's nice food on the go, it's a lovely gentle evening, we've got beautiful light, it's just delightful. But you're never going to get that the whole time. So there are many different outcomes, there are many different processes, but this sort of central one of sailing is I just love it, and it's what I want to do. And for a little while, you know, it'd be great. I'm young, I've got plenty of time, I've got plenty of energy, I know how to do it. Why not? Why not?
Put them over this flame, actually.
Why choose an artist?
Why choose an artist?
Why bring an artist on the boat?
Because I think, well, I mean, I'm an artist myself. I'm of sorts. I'm an architect, but I also like to paint. And artists look very carefully at things, and they consider things in more detail than perhaps most people would. And art is a great way of telling a story. And there are stories all around us here, you know, far more stories than we could possibly ever hope to do justice to. But that, in a way, is also, you know, there are limitations, there are constraints of what we can do and what we can't. And that includes, you know, large section of coastline which we may not be able to access because we're approaching from the sea. We're getting a unique perspective from a side which most people don't see. You could probably walk most of the coastline of the UK without any problems at all. You might find some difficult patches we have to scramble, but with a boat, you have to come in where you can, and that gives you a different structure and a different perspective on things, and a different set of stories. And artists artist is a very broad term, but really it doesn't matter whether you're an artist or not, because anyone coming sailing with us will have a response. They will have a story to tell. They will look at this world with their own eyes, and those will be different eyes to mine, and it might open my eyes to a few things I hadn't noticed before.
What does sailing mean to you?
Sailing to me is freedom, complete freedom. It's almost, I think, it's the closest we get to flying. Of course, it's not as dramatic as flying. It can be, I guess, at times, but it's having the freedom to go wherever you like with the power of the wind alone. There's no one here to bother you. You're also responsible for your own safety and for those who are sailing with you. And that's a great honour, really, that people choose to come with me and to trust me to know what to do. And yeah, it's about freedom, and of course the exhilaration of being picked up and sort of pushed between the power of the wind in one hand and the power of the water in the other. And when you get in that groove, there's really no better feeling. There's really nothing better.
How about the bad days?
When the bad days come, yeah, it's tough, but it's I'll say that some of the best moments of my life have been spent on a boat, but also some of the worst. But thankfully the ones that are difficult pass quite quickly, and they're not ones you remember. Otherwise I wouldn't come sailing, you know. I've been horribly seasick in my time. I've been cold and wet and overtired, but I don't remember that, and I keep coming back. And it's something which will last a lifetime.
I'll do yours first.
And that's how I can. That's you know, it says a lot about this elemental force which we can't really understand. It's not something we really should try to understand. It's just something we experience and love. And it doesn't have to be, it doesn't have to be wild to be dramatic. Even something like a really calm evening today, we're fighting the tide out of the River Orr, but it takes quite a lot of concentration, watching a mark ahead, seeing where the wind is, and choosing the best place to not run aground, but to keep out of the stream. And that's it's hugely satisfying.
How do you think if you manage to get on with your project and you end up spending, say, 7 months, a year, or who knows, it could be even longer, on sea or on a boat, how do you think that new life will compare to your old one?
Oh, it won't compare at all. It'll be completely different, and that's what I'm looking for, really. I have a stable career. I've got a good job. I've spent a long time at university. I've learned how to do one thing, but while I'm young, and while I have the energy, most importantly, and the enthusiasm to do something amazing, I think I should really go and do it before it's too late. I don't have much money, and you could conceivably say I don't have much time, but I think it's really important to go out into the world and find that thing which you really love, and at least try it. Maybe it's not something I'd like to do forever, sailing around the UK or the North Atlantic or the world even. It's not something you might want to do forever, because we are essentially land-based animals, and it's isolated being on a boat. You're away from your friends and your family and people you love. And sometimes that makes you feel close to them because you're far away. It concentrates thoughts, and I think sailing in general concentrates thoughts on a lot of things. So I think certainly a 7-month circumnavigation of the UK will be amazing. In some ways it's a lot more difficult to do that than it is to sail across the Atlantic, because there's other shipping to deal with, there's lots of variable weather and rocks and shallow patches, not to mention people coming with me who I'd never met, So in the form which it's being conceived, there'll be a new bunch of people joining me every 2 weeks. And so every time that happens, there'll be a new set of relationships to develop between me and the participants, and between the participants themselves, and between them and the boat and the experience and each other's work. And while that will be a hugely rewarding experience, it'll also be quite a difficult one. I've got to learn how to work with people very, very well. And that's something which I've done quite a lot now with the sailing club I belong to. But it's time to do something a bit different, and that's where the Sail Britain Coastline Project comes in. It really hasn't been done before, I think. It's a new idea, and I want to go out into the world and do something no one's ever done before. That excites me, and I hope it'll excite others as well.
Do you like your moments alone on a boat?
I do very much. Moments alone, well, they allow you to think. They just, allow you to look at the world as it is, and to appreciate it without rushing, without feeling pressured to do anything. Modern lives, especially when you live in London, it gets very stressful. You feel you have to be doing something all the time, and everything's rush, rush, rush. Out here, particularly on an evening like this, it relaxes, your whole body relaxes, your mind relaxes, your existence relaxes, and feels much more at one with the world which we're all part of. And I don't want to forget that, and it's something you can take with you whenever you need it. And so in moments of stress you can remember the sea, and it's always a calming force. It's a wonderful thing.
Do you find, after periods on your own, whether you enjoy them or not, do you find you almost feel the need to connect to people again, and you find yourself like talking to people more than you would normally do?
I have done, yes. The need to connect. I wouldn't really call it a need, it's a want. You come home with stories and you want to share this experience with people. And of course, you know, other people want to hear your stories. It's an age-old thing, particularly in a country like this where, you know, we are an island and we've always had stories from the sea. And people have always been slightly in awe of that world out there which is not a human realm, really. And that captures the imagination. Stories from the sea have always captured imagination. So coming home to friends is a wonderful thing, but it's also the contrast. I remember sailing back from Orkney to the west coast of Scotland over about 36 hours in August last year. And, the weather was pretty filthy, and it was really quite scary at times. You know, hurtling through the darkness around Cape Wrath, and we arrived back in Gairloch and went to the pub, and it was all cosy and warm, and people were sitting having their dinners and having their pints, and we sort of came in a bit bedraggled and a bit wet and a bit shell-shocked from this experience. And the first thought that came to my mind was, what are these people doing, sort of sitting in here being all cosy? Don't they know about the storm that's going on out there, and that we've been battling through it for 36 hours? And so coming home is a wonderful thing. And it being out in a wild environment makes you appreciate the quieter things in life. There's nothing better coming home and getting a nice warm hug from someone, or having a nice meal cooked for you, or sleeping in a bed which is big enough and not damp and stable.
So would you say you go away to find what you have at your doorstep?
Absolutely, yeah. This is on our doorstep. Absolutely. We live in this fantastic island. I go away because I can, whenever I can, and it's different every time. I would never get bored of sailing here if I sailed here the whole of my life. The light's changing, the weather's changing, the people change, the boat changes occasionally.
What would you like to share with the people that come sailing with you?
I want to share this experience of going somewhere new, trying something different, thinking differently about it, having to think outside the box to solve unfamiliar problems, having to engage with people in a challenging, potentially, environment which is not familiar, because I think that process is very rewarding. And sailing is a fantastic catalyst for creativity, for developing intense relationships, and for experiencing a kind of freedom which we don't often get in our busy modern lives. So that's what I'd like to share with people. And I'd like to share this, you know, this fantastic place. Not just this place, but there are many places like it, and there are many different places which are out there to be discovered. And it seems to me a bit of a shame, really, to go through life and not see that, especially as it's on our doorstep. The sandbanks of the east coast here are fascinating, challenging at times. I think we're actually going backwards against the tide here. But in Scotland there are islands which are completely secret and which are completely yours if you go to them. And that's a rather lovely thing. So that's what I'd like to share.
What would you like the people that come sailing with you to share with you?
I would like people to share with me their way of thinking, their way of doing things, and to come to it with an open mind about what we can achieve together and what they can achieve with each other. It won't just be me and them. It's, you know, okay, I started the project and I'm the continuous narrative, but it's not really about me, it's not really about the project, it's what people produce out of that, and through that experience, the stories they tell. That's interesting, and that is totally unexpected. And in a way, it's that unexpected nature of what might come out of this collaboration, of this experience of going sailing together, which makes the whole thing so exciting. You never know what's going to happen, you never know what's around the corner. And that's not just the weather or the landscape or what fishing boat you're going to run into next, what fish you might get for supper. It's much more than that. So that's what I like people to share with me, their unexpected nature.